Caregiver burnout is real. So many of our caregivers, they are leading with their hearts, so they're going to give 100% of themselves, and sometimes we have to kind of help them pull back a little bit. So we do try to be competitive in our pay so that they're not having to be searching constantly for their paycheck to try to figure out what's happening with that. A big piece of that is also we don't cap our overtime for our caregivers. And the reason why I don't cap our overtime is because sometimes it's best to have a caregiver who really does need to have additional hours, and they want to make sure that they have a full schedule. They don't have to be trying to balance two separate jobs, two separate schedules, and everything else that family life brings to the table. For our clients, that's a huge win and a huge benefit to them because they're going to have that continuity, that consistency with their caregivers. So if they have a caregiver who might be working 4 or 5 days in a row of 10-hour days or 12-hour days, they can have the same caregiver for multiple days in a row versus having, they may have 2 caregivers throughout a week versus having maybe 4 or 5 caregivers for the same amount of time because I'm not worried about the overtime. So that's another big piece. We give our caregivers, they earn time off. So they can use their paid time off to go on vacation. We encourage them to do so. Take some time, spend a little time on yourself. We also try in many different ways to be able to support them and be able to provide appreciation. So various things that we've done for them is we try to create experiences for them throughout the year with different kinds of things. Like for Christmas this year, we did a painting night with everybody and had us all come together, and we painted snowmen together. We also do a pretty big, robust Caregiver of the Month celebration. When we do our Wednesday, we do our caregiver shout-outs where we talk about all the wonderful things that our caregivers do, and every single time their name is mentioned, whether it's a client who called in and said, my caregiver is absolutely amazing, she did this for me, or it might be another caregiver going, hey, I was helping train Amanda, and she was just right on top of things. She just did such an amazing job. That's a shout-out, so we'll put their name into a list, and every month we do a drawing and choose that Caregiver of the Month. With the Caregiver of the Month, we give them a gift. We celebrate them. We like to do it in front of the client. We'll bring flowers into the client's home, make a big celebration for them, and we're gifted for that. So there's a lot of different ways that we try to really show them the appreciation and support them. We've had caregivers who've had health issues themselves, and we've been known to go out and visit them in the hospitals and bring them flowers or help support them if they've lost a loved one. We try to make sure that we're there. And our care managers can provide a really, really great benefit as well. They've also been grief counselors for our caregivers as they've lost their clients or have had things happen in their own lives. So it's kind of nice having that kind of built-in support system there as well to be able to provide them additional resources if needed. One of the most honoring things that somebody can do after their loved one has passed is to invite their caregiver to a funeral. Allow us to come and also grieve and also share our stories. I remember when my grandmother passed away, she lived in Colorado, and the last few years she had dementia. And I remember going out to visit her, but she didn't really remember who I was and things like that. And it was really quite interesting because we did invite her caregivers to her service. And afterwards we were at a reception and I walked up to the caregivers and I just was thanking them for taking such good care of my grandmother because I couldn't be there to take care of her myself. And I started asking them some questions about what was it like taking care of her. And I heard some of the most amazing stories, and I learned things about my grandmother that I didn't know. They had become very close with her and they had treated her so well. And it was just such a blessing to be able to hear that back from them and allow them that time to also remember and grieve and be a part of that. So I think that's a huge honor when we get invited to participate in that. And you actually are acknowledging the role that we played in somebody's life, especially at the end of life.